Hello everyone. Welcome back to Heart Renderings. Please remember to subscribe. It's really helpful if you've enjoyed the stories. So today we have a fable by my friend Robert Highland, and it's just called A Fable. Once upon a time there was a mule. He was tall and strong, and he lived on a small farm where the soil was thin and rocky. With diligent hard work, the farm could be made productive. But there were a great many rocks buried in his fields. Of course, being a mule, and quite stubborn, hard work and diligence were natural to him. So working his poor rocky farm suited him, even though when his plow hit a rock buried in the field, it was quite upsetting. It would disrupt the nice lines his furrows traced in the thin brown earth. He would have to stop plowing, take off his harness, dig out the offending boulder, carry it down to the river, and throw the rock in. Climb back to his field, don harness and plow, and get started again. Still, it was his potato patch, and he was used to it. Over the years of plowing his field, which he came to call grief, the rocks that popped up and stopped his plow and jolted him to the core became fewer and fewer, though the jolts were no less painful. And the rocks that he tossed in the river gradually formed a musical little rapid. When he took time to listen, the sound of the tumbling water pleased him as he stood by the river after throwing in the latest stumbling stone. Besides the musical rapids and the mostly satisfying hard work and the pleasing straight brown furrows in his fields, there was one other thing that gave the mule pleasure. That was his neighbor, who was a gazelle. She was quite the beauty, sleek and quick as a salmon in the river, light and limber as the willows on the shore. There was a quality of joy and gaiety about her. The mule loved to watch her move. She didn't plod. She swayed and danced like dandelion fluff on a spring breeze, as if she were made of air and light. She would never be jolted by a boulder stopping her plow, he said to himself. She is much too graceful. In fact, she never seems to plow at all. He said to himself, I wonder if I might offer to plow her field for her. But what would I do about the great tall fence between our farms? She is so light and graceful, I'm sure she could leap over it easily. But how could I ever do such a thing? For weeks the mule plowed and pondered and pondered and plowed, wondering what words to say to the beautified gazelle, trying to imagine what to do about the fence. The more he pondered, the more impossible it all seemed. How could he ever find the courage to talk with his gorgeous neighbor, or find the lightness of being to leap over the fence? Day after day he put on his harness, hooked up the plow, and tilled the field he called grief, thinking maybe today, when the work is done, I will go to the fence and ask her if she would like for me to plow her field. And day after day, as he plowed long straight furrows in the thin brown earth, he could only watch as the beautiful gazelle leapt and ran and danced in her pasture, sowing beauty and grace all around her. Finally, one day, when his plow had collided with no less than 6 large stones, and the mule had made 6 tiresome trips to the river to throw the stones in, on the last trip, there she was, the svelte and winsome gazelle with her long, slender neck and huge eyes. She was standing beside his tiny waterfall. Her eyes were starful and shimmering like moonlight on water. as he had never been close enough to see her eyes before. For all his thinking and planning what to say, the mule could find no words. He only stood and stared in wonder at the dreamlike beauty of his neighbor, for even standing still, she gleamed with gaiety and joy. "You have taught the river to sing," the gazelle said to the mule. "Your rapids make beautiful river music. But in all the days I have watched you plow your field, I have noticed that you only trace long, straight lines in the earth. Why is that? For the earth can sing like the river if you give her sweet, curved lines and bright colors to play with." Said the mule, I. "What?" said the gazelle. Finally, the mule blurted out, "May I plow your field for you?" The gazelle sprang into the air and turned a silvery double axle and laughed gaily. "Oh, no," she said, "for it's a pasture, not a field. It never needs plowing, only some sun, some love, and an occasional rain to be quite delightful. But tomorrow I would be happy to come and show you how to make the earth in your plain, brown field sing with color and curves. We can sow joy and abundance in your field," she said, "and we can make more rocks grow so you can feed the river new music to sing." "Oh," said the mule. And so the next morning the gazelle came, with her starful eyes and her joy shimmering like northern lights on an Arctic night, and she began to paint. First she painted a lovely seascape of blues and greens, with flashing white horses galloping across the tops of the waves. Then she added puffy gray and white clouds and a dazzling blue sky, and then green banana palms on a golden sandy beach. And finally, she added a mysterious island resting invitingly offshore. In all, it was a generous and gorgeous artwork that completely transformed the mule's brown potato patch. "Do you like it?" asked the gazelle. "It's very different," said the mule. "Thank you." "You're welcome," said the gazelle. "Would you like to come for dinner tonight?" "Well, I don't have a lot of time," said the mule. "I'm getting a late start on my plowing today, and I should get back to work, but would it be rude to ask what you are having for dinner?" "Yes," said the gazelle, "it would." "Oh," said the mule, "I only asked because I'm getting very tired of potatoes." "It's a surprise," said the gazelle. "Could you learn to trust me?" "Oh," said the mule, well, the last time I trusted, it didn't turn out so well. And besides, I could never leap over the fence the way you do, and it seems a very reasonable fence." Pain dimmed the stars in her eyes. "But maybe if it were a picnic down here by the waterfall." "I'd like that very much," said the gazelle. "And where were you going to plow? For I have painted your entire field." Said the mule. "I've always wanted a gate in that fence," said the gazelle. "Why don't you leave off plowing today and help me build a gate? Then we wouldn't have to leap over the fence." "Oh," said the mule, "I never thought of a gate. You're very clever," he said. "No," said the gazelle, "just flexible. Do you like bananas?" "I tried one once. I found the skin very tough and hard to chew," said the mule. "Not to worry," said the gazelle. "I could peel your banana for you." The mule blushed a very bright crimson and looked up and away into the gently swaying willows. The gazelle blushed a charming peachy coral from the tips of her horns all down her slender neck and beyond. Her head dipped down in embarrassment, and she turned her large eyes away to stare at the chuckling river. Said the mule. Shall we go get started on the gate? Nice segue, said the gazelle, as she glanced up in a Sophia Loren sort of way. Thank you. The end. Or is it the beginning? The moral, since each seems to be required in fables, but wait for it. A fable, chapter 2, later that day. Clunk, said the shovel. Clunk, clunk. Aha, cried the gazelle. Another AFGO. It's just another rock, said the mule, and of course it would be right where we're planting the gate post. Which makes it an AFGO, said the gazelle assuredly. Another fine growth opportunity. Let's dig up the fortuitous fragment, and I will get my paints, watercolors, I think, and we can decorate it before we give it to the river. But won't the river just wash the watercolors away? Exactly the point, said the gazelle. It will make beautiful swirling streams of color as it flows downstream. The river will be so happy. Amazing, exclaimed the mule, and smiled. What a beautiful smile, cried the gazelle, and she leapt into the air, twirled, and showered the mule with gaiety and joy. There, you see, an AFGO, our first smile together. And so it went the whole day, discovering wonders and wondering about discoveries. The gazelle was ever her bright and shining self, the mule plodding along toward happiness at the very edge of the field called grief. Finally, as the sun slipped low in the sky, the new gate was finished. There, said the gazelle, the gate is complete and quite wonderful. I like your rendition of the painted rock you added at the top. I think you will become quite a good painter in a geometric, abstract, early Picasso sort of way. Now why don't you go put your abandoned plow in the barn while I prepare our picnic dinner? I'll meet you by the waterfall. May I bring something? Asked the mule. Thanks for asking, said the gazelle. Just your handsome new smile will be fine. Later that evening. I couldn't eat another bite, groaned the mule. And who knew food could have all those tantalizing colors and textures? Well, my dear, said the gazelle, I think you have let yourself get trapped in a dead furrow of narrow attitudes and limited goals. Even potatoes have red and golden and dark purple skins to go along with the brown and white. And then there are beets and parsnips and yams. They are all equally delightful, if you let yourself see the beauty. And as for textures, well, I admit, an overripe banana is not the most pleasing of textures. And she blushed, a very delicate shade of early sunrise coral. But your potatoes are capable of a nice variety of textures, with a bit of imagination. An AFGO, smiled the mule. I can see it now. It's all good. I think I like the orange best of all. That burning early sunset color, kind of glowing and hinting and hiding what waits inside, and peeling. What a revelation! Who knew? And then the sweet, tart, juicy explosion in my mouth. You are much better than a perfectly straight furrow. Your orange is my new potato. Thank you, I think, said the gazelle. Now, before we embarrass ourselves with more words, let's just lie back and enjoy the river music for a while. And so they did. Eventually, evening slipped from the sky, trailing her lovely rainbow gown from indigo fingers. Later still, languorous and complete, the two neighbors strolled arm in arm across the transformed potato patch. The moon worked her magic. The mule, with his shadowed smile, appeared quite handsome and strong in the silvery light. The gazelle's eyes were the eighth wonder of the world, a galaxy of new stars shining there. As they ambled ever more slowly across the fields toward their new gate, they came to a stop near the mysterious offshore island painted. Was it only this morning? So long ago in heart time. There they stopped, moonlit smile, star-filled eyes, oranges and bananas and peelings. Another AFGO. The end. Oh, the moral. It's appealing to be flexible. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it, and please remember to subscribe. Have a great day.